Alright, so I'm going to show how to disassemble an iPhone 7 to replace the screen. So first what you want to do, of course, make sure it's off. So yeah, just hold the power button and slide the power off. If you can't, then just be careful when opening this. You'll have to disconnect the battery first, and we'll do that. So first what you do is you use a pentalobe 0.8 size bit. There's 2 screws on the bottom. Just remove those 2. Alright, keep all these screws in order because they're different sizes and you don't want to get them mixed up. Alright, after that, usually people say to use heat or something, but if you have a good pry tool, you can remove this without the heat. The cables will be on the side here, so just be careful when you open the screen. You have to open it out this way. Don't open it like at an angle like the old phones. Okay, so just go in with the pry tool. Get under the edge. Alright, once you get under an edge, then you just slide the tool all the way around, just like this. Be careful again because the cables are on the side, so just slide it all the way around, just like that. Alright, this will cut the adhesive as well as pry up a little bit all around the edges, so just go all the way around. Be careful not to put the tool too far or you can damage something inside. Okay. Alright, and just keep going around, just like this. This one, the screen wasn't too bad, it's just the glass that's cracked on the bottom there. Alright, so go around. Alright, usually just to be safe, so you don't insert the tool too far, I hold close to it so my thumb and my other finger go along the phone, so that way there's no chance that I can accidentally push the tool too far. Okay, just keep going, just like that. Alright, so once you get both sides up, you'll see there's like lots of adhesive here. So you will have to kind of open it slightly upwards from the bottom, and then you kind of want to go around, and then the top you're going to have to kind of wiggle it down to kind of get the hooks to unhook from here. So to help with that, you can use the pry tool, and then you can kind of slide it along the top, alright, and kind of twist it a little bit just to help get the screen down. And if this is still too tough, you can use like a hair dryer or something to warm it up. It'll make the adhesive more gooey so that it can slide, and then you can remove it that way. But as you can see, the screen is slowly coming out. Okay, just like that. The corners, they kind of put a little more adhesive, so it's a little tough to remove. Again, you can kind of lift it up. As you can see, the cable is down there on this side, so you don't want to raise it too much or you can damage it. Okay, and then slowly, while you're kind of cutting the adhesive, keep trying to wiggle it. Alright, some more of the adhesive, just like that. Alright, and while you're pulling it down, as you can see, it unhooked. I don't know if I went out of view, sorry, but here you can see like the stronger adhesive tape here. So the phone doesn't really need the adhesive, you can take them out. Okay, and then just be careful because you got also the camera connectors here. Alright, so peel out all the adhesive. Alright, so first thing, you have to make sure to keep it open like this. Don't let it drop over because you can damage these connectors. So now you want to switch to the pH0. So anytime you're not holding it, just close the screen. One way you can do is you can use like a laptop or something, and then you can have the screen open so that way you can rest this on the screen. But I found it's best to just be careful and just close it, because if it slides over or something, you don't want to risk it. Okay, so again, oh sorry, this is not a PH0. So on the iPhone 7, they actually switched to these, what is it called? Tri-point? I don't know what it's called, but it's basically a three-point screwdriver. Yeah, so that's the one you need. It's very small, and so just to be safe, you don't want to strip the screws. So put a lot of downward pressure while you're undoing these screws. So just get it and then push it down as hard as you can and unscrew it. Okay, just like that. Again, don't mix up the screws. They're all different lengths, different sizes, so you want to make sure to try and keep them in order. All right, so there's 4 screws holding this plate in place. All right. So once you get all those screws out, you can lift the plate just like this. Use your fingernail or a pry tool. If you're using something metal, be very careful because you don't want to short it out. A lot of times the battery gets stuck to the back of this plate and it actually pulled itself, so you can see. So once you remove the battery connector, like you'll just pry it up like this. Once you remove that, you want to hold the power button, drain any excess power. Make sure that there's no power in there to short anything out. Okay. Once you drain the power, open it back up, and then you can remove this cable. So to make this easier to remove, you can actually undo all the connectors so that the screen is no longer attached. So let's get this cable out. So these are the LCD and the digitizer connectors. All right, once you get that out, then you can actually rotate this a little bit to manage it more. But this cable, it's a little bit tricky, so just know that it's going to be a little tough. So at the top, it actually uses the PH0 screws, so you can switch now to those. And then just remove the 2 screws here. Okay. So with this one, it's a little tricky to get here. You might have to rotate the screen a little bit in a weird angle. Okay. Just make sure not to put too much stress on it. Then you can move this connector, the cover out, and then just pry up this connector here. All right, same thing with your fingernails or a pry tool. I don't know if you can even see this in the camera, but yeah, just get underneath the connector and pry it up. Let's see if I can. I just recently cut my nails a little shorter, so it's tough. Okay, so there you go. Just like that, you can remove all the excess adhesive. All right, there you go. So now you have the phone separated from the screen, but you can see here, I'm sure there's a lot of other videos if you want to see, but they have the Taptic engine and stuff for the vibrations and the board and the camera, but I'm not going to show that. I'm just taking out the screen. So here we go. So again, they use the tri-tip screws again. Okay, so you have to remove those, and then all of the ones up here are Phillips, and then the ones all down here are also the tri-tip or tri-wing screws. Okay, so we'll use the Phillips screwdriver since we still have that on, and we'll remove all of these. Okay, so there's 6 screws towards the top holding the camera and part of this shield in place. Alright, so remove all those screws. This screw seems to be attached to the shield, so I'll just leave it. Alright, don't know why the screw's not coming out. Usually they all just come out, but I'll just set it down like that. Alright, then you got this camera and the speaker comes out separately, just like this. Okay. Then you got all the tri-wing screws on the bottom and the sides, so remove those. Okay, remember not to mix all the screws up because they're all slightly different. Some of them might be similar or the same, but to be safe, it's always best to put back the same screws where you got them from. All right. So the most difficult and tricky parts is actually removing the adhesive from the back of this camera assembly setup, this camera and the sensors, and also the home button. All right, so remove all of those. Then you can set this little cover aside. All right, so now you got the little button here to remove this connector. You actually have to hold one side down and then pull the other side. So you hold one side down with the nail and then the other side you can pull it up. Okay, so the connector will come up like this. And as you can see, oh, I actually need to get another tool. So one tool that's useful for this is a needle. So I use a needle like this. I actually bent it, so this is one of those that hold like the stitching together or something. But yeah. So once you get all of that, as you'll see, the connector that was on top is for the button, and then this other connector is part of the screen. Okay, so once you get that disconnected, you can move the one for the screen out of the way, and then you actually need to get underneath this with the needle. So if it's difficult to remove, usually what you'll want to do is use some heat, and that'll help melt this. So I'll get a little thing to heat it up. Okay. So you'll want to heat these up. So I have this little heater thing here. So I use that and I'll heat this up. Okay, anything to heat it will work. You can use a hair dryer or you can leave it under the sun. Even that will make it warm if it's a hot day. Okay, just enough to make it warm and gooey. Okay. If it starts burning your hand, that's when you know it's good. All right, and you can go underneath with the needle. I don't know if this is in view of the camera. So this is kind of one of the more difficult parts. You have to be very careful with these pieces because if you break these, then the Touch ID won't work anymore. You can't replace it with another one because Apple set it as some security or something where if you replace it, it basically just disables the security or the Touch ID. Okay, so go with that. All right, go underneath. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can. But yeah, just take the whole needle and then go underneath this connector, and there you go. So now you can see this whole piece just came off, just like that. Okay, set that aside. Okay, and once you get that, you got to get the camera assembly out. So same thing, warm it up. So these are the hardest parts, and then once you do that, you basically just do the whole thing in reverse. So I'm not gonna show that all because it's kind of a long process just redoing the same thing backwards. But yeah, once you heat all of this up, basically just transfer everything back over to the new screen, and then you should be good to go. Okay, it's hot. Alright, so to remove this one, you move the camera out of the way and move the other sensor out of the way. Be careful not to touch the lenses so you don't like contaminate them and get them all oily. So this sensor usually will be still stuck in here, so I like to use the needle and then kind of just be very careful and then go around the edges and lift it. Do it slowly, don't try and just pry it out really hard, because you can actually rip the sensor out because it's in a little socket here. If you can see this clear part here, if you pry it up all at one side, you can this piece will get caught and it'll rip it out. So be careful and slowly just pry around it. Okay, and then once you get that, you can pry underneath the microphone here. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but go towards the top and then just pry it up. Okay, get underneath the microphone and slowly pry it out. Okay, hopefully this is all visible. All right, and then also the speaker connector is a little bit tough, the part with the little gold circles on it. So again, just use the needle and slowly pry it up. Okay, and then I like to slide the needle along this. All right, just like that. If it gets stuck, you can add more heat. But yeah, so as you can see, the gold connectors are all coming up. And the microphone is also. So just keep slowly sliding it. You can use like the back part of the bend so that way you don't accidentally poke something with the needle once you get it underneath. And just slowly peel it up. Okay, just like that. So here you can see the whole connector comes out. So there's the golden pins that line up with the plastic things that stick out. And then you got the little microphone right here. And then this other sensor. I believe this is like the light sensor, or I don't know which one. There's a light sensor and then there's like a proximity sensor. This one has 2 holes, so I'm guessing it's like a proximity. It's like 3D or something, and then I'm guessing that's light sensor. Yeah. Okay, and that's pretty much it for removing the parts. You basically just put all of these pieces back. Oh, there's one more. I forgot to remove this metal plate. So this metal plate comes up and there's an adhesive back here. So just hold these connectors down and you can slowly peel it out. If it doesn't peel out, you can use heat just like the other connectors. But this is part of the screen that you're not transferring over, the connectors. So it's okay if you damage them, but just slowly peel it up and be careful. Okay. So this metal plate, you don't want to bend it too much. If you do, bend it back. But you can use like a thin pry tool like this too to help peel this. It's kind of stuck, so I'm probably gonna have to use heat. So yeah. So don't forget to transfer that metal plate over as well, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Once you get all those pieces out, transfer them over. Some of them, the replacement screens won't come with these little plastic things for the camera and the sensor. If that's the case, you want to remove those and transfer them over because that'll help keep the camera and the sensor aligned. Okay, so once I remove that, that's pretty much it. So heat that up. All right, now that this thing's all warm, it should peel easier. There you go. So now you got this out. Make sure when you put it, that this is all flat, okay? And that's pretty much it. So just replace all of these back the way you took them out, and you'll be good to go, all right? Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, remember to like and subscribe because that'll help me, and thanks for watching. Bye.